products, and so on and so forth in Ghana.
Woo! All right. Well, it's a bit late. Most people are out partying, and most of us are getting things in order. So, congratulations on staying inside on a Friday night. Good for you. Give me a minute. I have to drink a lot of water. I've been eating so many little lychees. Today, we're going to talk about a little bit of your intrinsic value. So, what I mean by this is, I just been listening to a lot of my mentors and a lot of the classes I just finished taking in different aspects of it. They all seem to have this overarching theme of your value, that your value is going to be equivalent to what you receive is going to be in direct proportion and value in which you've received things. So it could be through your spiritual gifts, through your advice, through a way that you have directly helped someone. So this happens in a lot of speeches. Actually, I mean, I remember listening to Dr. Cindy Trim, and she gave an address at the beginning of like 2 years ago to Nigeria. And I think I linked it almost a year ago on my page. And I shared that because she had some very powerful ways to help provide kingdom strategies and tactics. So as I was also listening to Joshua Selman, Apostle Joshua Selman, he's great. He shared the same thing. And as I listened to one of my mentors, he shares the same thing. And he says, he puts, everybody, of course, uses their own way to say this, but your value, what you're going to get paid, what you are receiving is in direct proportion to everything that you've received from everything that you've done in the past. Now, there's times where, let's be honest, for investments, for startups, for art, let's even talk about Jean-Michel Basquiat. Immediately, his art was not appraised, approved. It took a minute, right? When we're also looking at, okay, so thank God, though, Basquiat was able to receive some of the fruits of his labor. So when we're talking about that, of receiving fruits and that you have an intrinsic value, it's going to look a little different because you guys, I was almost about falling out. Anyway, so it's going to look a little differently because sometimes money is energy. It can be neither created nor destroyed, just transferred. So when we're talking about this time right now and the transfer of wealth, your value, your intrinsic value, everything that is in you is going to be in direct proportion to everything that you're giving out and giving away. This is so incredibly powerful for me. Because when we look at even William Shakespeare, who everybody knows through modern art, through playwright, in many different cultures, Romeo y Juliet is in so many different languages, in Espanol, in Francés, in diferentes, I'm speaking Spanish, and in different idiomas. In different languages, we're going to see the exact same thing, that sometimes when you put in, what you're going to receive is in direct proportion to what you sow. So it may take a minute. We all still need to up our value. We all still need to keep reading. We all need to still keep taking classes to upgrade everything that we have. So everything that we're giving in any sort of value is going to be increased. It's going to be sharpened, that we're always staying evergreen. Now, this was kind of like this is exciting for me because in my line of life, my line of work, and things that I'm just genuinely drawn to, it's important for me. Like, reinventing ourselves is just a part of just growing. When we stop growing, we die. Growth is a natural evolution of life, but our value can't just stay the same. In 5 years, people who had been working at Google, for example, they still go for continued education. But there is a problem. I think when I did a gig there. There's people who are trained in Google Cloud, which is a huge systems in which you can understand how the storage works. It's not just, oh, okay, one cloud. It's very nuanced. It's completely nuanced beyond what I can honestly explain when I'm talking about value and what we're contributing to each other. But this was so important. Like, here we are at the beginning of midnight at the first day of May. Congratulations, guys, we made it. And it's really important for me to share that because, wow, your value, you have to just keep up leveling. And it's not just, okay, well, I did that today, I read one book. I mean, congratulations, you've done a little bit more than others, but it doesn't stop there. My mentor says, in order to do what most people do in 10 years, you have to have 3 days. You have to make a whole day. You have to fit 3 things that you would do in one day. And that's like a lot, right? I mean, let's just think about everything that we do outside this space, outside of what we do in a day. I mean, a lot of you guys are parents. A lot of you have your own children's lives. You have to manage your own work lives. You have to come back in and you need to take care of your physical bodies. You have to go to the gym. You have to take care of your prayer life. So however often you need to be going into your secret space to be doing that. You have your relationships to manage. This is a lot. So within all of the areas that you have been called to help yourself and help humanity grow, this is one of those parts where you're like, okay, this is so important for me to really know where it is where I'm going. It's important for me to keep up leveling. It's important for me to read books. It's important for me to go to conferences. It's important for me to develop myself and get honed in. So back to the Google example, people have to be able to up level. Things are always changing, especially with technology. Technologically speaking, yes. I mean, if you're not taking any sort of AI classes, even just to find out what it is and how it's going to just affect you and your life, it's time to get on the boat, because soon all of these things in which you have been coming to help solve a problem, to help invent something while you're creating your new app, whatever it is that you're implementing AI in to help other people, whatever you're doing to change your career from serving tables, bartending, because at some point it's going to stop. I mean, machines are going to take over your job. So your intrinsic value, things that you have within yourself, is forever. Oh wow, it's a long-term lesson. It's just life, right? So my mentor even shares, he's like, look, I'm cocky, I'm arrogant, I have a huge ego. Sometimes it takes for me to learn a lot of things just so I can get beyond this. And self-reflection in this space is one of the most important. I mean, he's right. I mean, for a lot of times, that's why I do these YouTube channels. One, so we can have a space and just talk about things, so we can honestly reflect, is so important. And not just think, oh, okay, well, somebody doesn't like me, that's their problem. No, we're really thinking, okay, how can I be better? Is this actually me? Is this a voice of God, right? So how can I be better? What kinds of things can I do to eliminate that? And do a lot of research. I mean, it's a lot of strategies. It is a huge bunch of strategies, but in order to move forward, in order to really take advantage of What is this wealth transfer? That's what a lot of people are going to have right now. What I'm sharing about this wealth transfer is sometimes it's not just money. Wealth is not just money. It's ideas, it's inventions. So there's many different people have different strategies to do that. Dr. Cindy Trim recommends, you know what? I say you need to consecrate yourself for 40 days and 40 nights and sit under and read all about the different people in the Bible and see what problem have you been called to solve. Say that 5 times fast. What problem have I been called to solve? See, exactly. 1 time. Good job. For me, I don't know. Maybe you can do it 2 or 3, but so Cindy Trim recommends, consecrating yourself for 40 nights and 40 days and sitting and reading about some of the odd defiers. Jacob, Esther, Abraham, finding out Noah, right? So a lot of the problems where most of humanity is having issues with finances, with funding, people don't know what problem they have been called to solve. And as long as you're resolving problems, you're not going to look for money. The nonprofits that you all have started, the all the other, your ministries and stuff like that, it's not as if those are necessarily feeding you. I mean, it's awesome that it does, but there's other problems as well. And so the ministry that you have will just it can grow from its own. Now, for those of you that do have that, because I can honestly just hear, well, I know a lot of people that have these ministries and they're great. That is awesome. But a lot of them also have billion-dollar businesses as well. That there's something so strong about them it's one of the most powerful things. I want you all to not underestimate time. Now, there's miracle in timing, right? So when we all start our channels, and every mentor, before they're talking to you about moving forward with key phrases and SEOs inside of a channel, they're telling you, look, you're going to have a channel. You're going to talk to no one. You just got to get used to it. Get used to just getting content, saying what you need to say, and get used to it. When I'm talking about the fruits of people's labor, again, it may take some time. So understand that patience is one of the other components of it. But there is also a such thing as an overnight miracle. So when you're assessing your own value, do your best to just keep up leveling no matter what it takes. It's going to take a minute to see the fruit, but don't think so much about the fruit of your reward. I know it's hard to say that when you're like, okay, the value. I mean, my mentor talks about, okay, this is how much my net worth is. These other people saying, hey, I have all this business, but what about me who's starting out? It's not just a boom. And sometimes it is. I want to remind you guys, sometimes things do work like that. But what happens when you see a boom is this is a release of tons of energy that has been built up over the pipeline consistently over amount of time. So it's like that. It's just like that. Sometimes startups take a minute. Sometimes it's here. Some are one-hit wonders. But what I'm talking about is wealth. I'm talking about legacy. And this is not built overnight. Rome was not built overnight. Those pyramids were not built overnight. These are legacies. So this is a time in which this is a legacy building year. I want you guys to really write down a bunch of, if you can, get a notebook and write down number 1, what problem do I think I have been called to solve? What is it that I'm naturally good at that people come to me for? This may actually lead you to what it is that you have been called to solve effortlessly. Let's just say somebody were to walk up to you and you had this natural solution. What is it that you have been called to solve? And number 2, what can I do to sharpen that? And number 3, what can I do? What obstacles are in my way? What are some things that in my blind spot, or things that I know about myself that need to be removed so I can get better at these callings? So if you have those three things, is going to be very helpful for you to move forward and be prepared. So this recession, things like that, it's going to hit a lot of people, but it's because they don't know what value they have or things they're able to bring to the table. Funding will never be an issue as long as you realize that you have this problem that you have been called to solve. This is your intrinsic value. This is what they call an anointing. This is what they call your calling. So there, and it's all right. Some people have several over a lifetime. I mean, like we can even call them lifetimes of different things, of different callings, things that you become very good at, things that you have an anointing in. It could be talking really well at people, or you're great at engineering things. You just have a very mathematical brain, or very, what do you call it? A very logical way of thinking, linear sometimes. And there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes people don't think linearly. So problem solving. What is your problem solving? So take those three things. What is it you are really good at? What things can you do to improve on it? And what things do you know that you have a blind spot in that you are able to really help combat, so you can come against some of the things that you have maybe been acting negatively, thinking negatively. I mean, just to help you combat some of these areas, what I would call your kryptonite. So with that said, I am really, I wish you guys all the best. I look forward to hearing from you. And yeah, once you have done that, if you feel comfortable, drop it in the comments. I'll see you guys soon. Happy May.